The dust settles, a hand hovers over a revolver, and then those words cut through the silence. "I'm your huckleberry." Decades later, that line still sends chills down the spine of anyone who's heard it. Tombstone didn't just capture the Wild West, it bottled lightning, turning a troubled production into one of the most quotable, rewatchable films ever made. But here's the thing. This movie almost didn't happen. Behind every iconic gunfight was chaos, creative battles, and a director who may not have been calling all the shots. Yet somehow, all that turmoil forged something unforgettable. So, what makes this Western resonate so powerfully, even now? Let's uncover why Tombstone still hits hard, and why it entered the scene at exactly the right moment. The Western genre was evolving. By the early 1990s, something unexpected was happening in Hollywood. The Western was clawing its way back from the grave. Dances with Wolves had just swept the Oscars, proving that frontier stories could still captivate massive audiences. Then came Unforgiven, a dark meditation on violence and legacy that brought even more prestige to the genre. These films signaled a revival, but one rooted in somber tones and moral complexity. Tombstone arrived in this landscape with a completely different attitude. It wasn't chasing awards or trying to deconstruct the myth of the Old West. It was here to celebrate it. Fast-paced, charismatic, and dripping with style, the film embraced energy over introspection. While its predecessors asked audiences to reflect on the cost of violence, Tombstone invited them to revel in the spectacle of justice served with a silver tongue and a smoking gun. This choice set it apart immediately. Instead of competing with the revival's serious tone, Tombstone carved out its own lane by delivering pure, mythic entertainment. That decision turned a risky bet into a timeless classic that still stands apart from everything around it. The chaos behind the camera. What audiences saw on screen, a confident, tightly crafted Western, was hiding a production nightmare. The original director, Kevin Jarrah, had written a visionary script and started filming with grand ambitions. But as production dragged on, his meticulous approach clashed with budget and schedule realities. Midway through shooting, Jarrah was removed from the director's chair, the kind of disruption that usually sinks a film. Enter George P. Cosmatos, brought in to steady the ship, but whispers from the set told a different story. Many cast and crew members believe Kurt Russell was the real creative force guiding Tombstone to the finish line. Russell reportedly shaped performances, adjusted scenes, and kept the vision intact, all while Cosmatos held the official title. Instead of collapsing into chaos, something remarkable happened. The combination of Jarrah's original script, Russell's behind-the-scenes leadership, and Cosmatos' experience created a film that felt cohesive and purposeful. What could have been a disaster became a masterclass in salvaging creative vision under pressure. Casting that created legends. The success of any Western hinges on whether you believe the men wearing the badges and holding the guns. Tombstone didn't just cast actors, it assembled a lineup that felt destined to inhabit these roles. Kurt Russell brought quiet intensity to Wyatt Earp, portraying him not as a flawless hero, but as a man trying to escape violence, only to be dragged back into it. But it was Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday that stole the film and became legendary. Dying of tuberculosis yet refusing to go quietly, Holliday was witty, unpredictable, and fiercely loyal. Kilmer infused every line with a mix of charm and melancholy, delivering a performance so sharp it cuts through the screen even today. Michael Biehn's cold Johnny Ringo and Sam Elliott's rock-solid Virgil Earp added layers of menace and brotherhood that elevated every scene. The magic wasn't just in individual performances, it was in the chemistry. You believed these men had ridden together, bled together, and would die for each other without hesitation. That authenticity turned Tombstone from a good Western into an unforgettable one. The magic of dialogue. Most Westerns are remembered for their gunfights, their landscapes, or their epic showdowns. But Tombstone? It's remembered for what the characters say before they pull the trigger. The dialogue in this film doesn't just move the plot forward, it carves itself into your memory. Every line carries weight, rhythm, and personality, turning conversations into duels as intense as any shootout. Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday delivers some of the sharpest exchanges ever put to film. Whether he's casually dropping his famous Huckleberry line or engaging in Latin banter with Johnny Ringo, every word drips with wit and menace. Kurt Russell's Wyatt Earp balances this with thunderous declarations that sound like they were forged in the fires of frontier justice itself. What makes the dialogue truly special is how quotable it remains decades later. Fans don't just remember Tombstone, they recite it, live it, and weave its lines into everyday conversation. The words became battle cries and rallying calls for a generation of Western lovers who found poetry in the dust and danger of the Old West. The visual language of honor. Every frame of Tombstone feels like a painting pulled from the mythology of the American frontier. The long shadows stretching across dusty streets, the red earth glowing under the Arizona sun, the glint of sunlight catching a revolver just before it's drawn. These aren't accidents. They're deliberate choices that transform the film into a visual love letter to the Western genre itself. Cinematographer William A. Fraker understood that the West wasn't just a setting, it was a character. His camera captures both the beauty and brutality of frontier life, turning simple confrontations into operatic moments of destiny. When Wyatt Earp walks through a creek, bullets splashing around him, the scene becomes more than action. It becomes visual poetry. The film uses light, color, and composition to remind us that in this world, every decision carries the weight of life and death. This visual reverence elevates Tombstone beyond typical action fare. The cinematography doesn't just show violence, it frames it as ritual, as necessary consequence in a world where honor and revenge intertwine. Through its stunning imagery, the film transforms gunfights into myth and turns memory into legend. Music that amplified the myth. Behind every great Western moment in Tombstone is a score that refuses to let you forget what you're witnessing. Bruce Broughton's music doesn't just accompany the action, it amplifies the emotional stakes, reminding viewers that beneath the bravado and bullets, every choice comes with a price. The powerful brass sections announce destiny arriving, while mournful strings whisper of sacrifice and loss. The score knows when to surge and when to pull back. During the OK Corral shootout, the music drives the tension higher, making every shot feel consequential. But in quieter moments, like Doc Holliday's final scene, Broughton's composition turns intimate, almost sacred. These moments reveal the soul beneath the swagger, showing us that even legends bleed doubt and face their mortality with a mix of defiance and acceptance. This is where Tombstone's music becomes truly masterful. It doesn't just enhance what's on screen, it adds layers of meaning that linger long after the credits roll. The score transformed the film from an entertaining Western into an emotional experience, ensuring that its impact resonates in your chest long after the last note fades into silence. Unforgettable scenes that defined it. Some movies have one or two moments that stick with you. Tombstone has a dozen scenes that feel burned into cinematic history. Each one balances historical authenticity with larger-than-life energy, creating moments that fans revisit endlessly. These aren't just action sequences, they're rituals of courage, loyalty, and vengeance that play out with operatic intensity. The OK Corral shootout remains one of the most visceral gunfights ever filmed. It's quick, brutal, and chaotic, exactly how the real event unfolded. But then there's Wyatt's revenge ride, where he walks through a creek with bullets splashing around him, seemingly untouchable. And Doc Holliday's final duel with Johnny Ringo blends speed, wit, and tragedy into one perfect moment. Each scene feels like an individual short film within the larger story. What makes these moments truly unforgettable is how they blend spectacle with emotion. You're not just watching action, you're witnessing the birth of legends. The film understands that great Western scenes aren't about who draws faster. They're about what's at stake when men with nothing left to lose face each other down. The brotherhood theme. Strip away the gunfights, the quotable lines, and the sweeping cinematography, and you'll find the real heart of Tombstone, the unbreakable bond between Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday. This friendship gives the film its emotional weight and transforms it from a simple revenge story into something far more meaningful. Here are two men from different worlds who found in each other something worth dying for. Doc Holliday is already dying when we meet him, yet he follows Wyatt into every dangerous situation without hesitation. His loyalty isn't born from duty or obligation, it's pure friendship in its most powerful form. When he tells Wyatt, "You're the only human being in my entire life who ever gave me hope," it reveals the depth of their connection. Meanwhile, Wyatt's struggle between upholding the law and seeking vengeance becomes more compelling because of what he stands to lose. This brotherhood is what separates Tombstone from countless other Westerns. The film understands that loyalty and sacrifice resonate deeper than any shootout ever could. It's this emotional backbone that keeps audiences returning, finding something timeless in the bond between two men who refuse to let each other face the darkness alone. The secret cult behind the film. When Tombstone hit theaters in 1993, it was a solid success. But what happened over the next 3 decades turned it into something far bigger, a cultural phenomenon with a devoted following that borders on religious devotion. Walk into any convention or Western-themed gathering, and you'll find fans dressed as Earp or Holliday, reciting lines with the reverence of sacred texts. The film's cult status grew organically through repeated viewings and word of mouth. People didn't just watch Tombstone once. They watched it dozens of times, memorizing every line, every gesture, every frame. Online communities formed around the film, creating tributes, artwork, and endless discussions about its place in Western cinema. The movie became a shared language, a way for fans to recognize kindred spirits who understood that loyalty, justice, and poetic defiance never go out of style. What's remarkable is how this devotion has only intensified with time. New generations discover the film and fall just as hard as those who saw it in theaters. Tombstone created more than fans. It created a brotherhood of admirers who keep its legacy alive through their passion. In a world where most films fade from memory within months, this one built a community that refuses to let it go. The hidden details fans love. Great films reward close attention, and Tombstone is packed with subtle details that reveal themselves only after multiple viewings. The production team obsessed over historical accuracy in ways most viewers never notice. The tombstones and cemetery scenes match the actual markers from 1880s Tombstone. The costumes reflect specific regional styles, down to the way different characters wear their guns. Val Kilmer's performance is filled with improvised gestures that add layers to Doc Holliday's character. The way his hands shake when he's not performing, the subtle glances that reveal his deteriorating health, the spin of his cup during the saloon confrontation, none of these were in the script. The film also contains visual nods to classic westerns, from camera angles that echo John Ford to compositional choices that honor Sergio Leone. These hidden elements transform every rewatch into a treasure hunt. Fans discover something new each time, a background detail, a subtle performance choice, a visual reference they'd missed before. This depth of craft is rare, and it's one reason Tombstone has aged so gracefully. The film reveals more richness the closer you look. Legacy and influence. In the years following its release, Tombstone quietly reshaped what audiences expected from Western films. While it didn't win awards or dominate the box office, it planted seeds that would bloom throughout the next generation of frontier storytelling. Modern westerns like 3:10 to Yuma and Open Range borrowed its blend of stylized dialogue and emotional weight, understanding that audiences craved both spectacle and substance. The film proved that westerns didn't need to choose between entertainment and authenticity. You could have sharp, quotable dialogue without sacrificing historical grounding. You could embrace mythic storytelling while still exploring real human emotions. This balance became a template for filmmakers who wanted to honor the genre's traditions while making it feel vital and contemporary. Even television shows like Deadwood and Justified owe a debt to Tombstone's character-driven approach. Perhaps most importantly, Tombstone demonstrated that the Western wasn't a relic waiting to be deconstructed. It was a living genre that could evolve without losing its soul. The film didn't just survive the test of time. It showed other filmmakers the path forward. Why it still hits hard today. 30 years later, Tombstone remains timeless because it captures something deeper than nostalgia. It speaks to universal truths about courage, loyalty, and redemption. In an era when most action films prioritize spectacle over substance, Tombstone reminds us that the most powerful moments come from characters we genuinely care about. The film understands that real stakes aren't measured in explosions, but in the bonds between people willing to risk everything for each other. What makes the film resonate across generations is its refusal to compromise on emotion. Yes, it delivers thrilling gunfights and memorable one-liners, but beneath all that swagger lies a story about standing for something when everything's on the line. It's about friendship that transcends death, about choosing to fight even when you're already dying, about facing your demons with a smile and a perfectly timed quip. While modern westerns often chase gritty realism or ironic detachment, Tombstone reminds us that heart and honor never go out of style. Its legacy endures because it tapped into something timeless, the belief that some bonds and some moments of courage echo forever. Even now, when Wyatt Earp rides off into the horizon and Doc Holliday fades into memory, Tombstone leaves us with a feeling few films can match, a mix of melancholy, triumph, and awe. What makes Tombstone endure isn't just its iconic lines or unforgettable performances. It's the way it makes us believe in something bigger than ourselves. In a world that often feels cynical, this film offers a reminder that courage, loyalty, and standing for what's right never lose their power. It's a story that resonates whether you're watching it for the first time or the 50th. If Tombstone still gives you chills, or if you find yourself quoting its lines under your breath, then you know exactly why it endures. If this classic still hits your heart after all these years, go ahead and give this video a like and subscribe for more journeys into timeless cinema. What's your favorite Tombstone moment? Drop it in the comments below, because some legends deserve to be remembered together.